This particular year, I don't find it tough at all. Maybe, maybe I've gone through enough disappointment, but I know that's not the case. It's because it was a different sort of feel once we lost to Toronto, because on one side of it, you feel the disappointment that we didn't advance. On the other side of it, you really see how this group continues to grow. And when I mean the group, there's a lot of young guys. And for them to go about it in a way that was ferocious and fearless, you feel that better days are ahead. And I'm sure there's a lot of people and a lot of organizations at this time of the year that are saying that. But what stands out and makes us different is at the beginning of the season, Jesse made it very clear that he was going to use younger players. And some of the early season struggles could be attributed to the learning curve and the growing pains that come with that. But then to see it sort of come to a head at the end of the season in that last game against Toronto and see the guys go for it in a way, and it didn't matter who was going to come onto the field, it didn't matter how much playoff experience they had going into it, you just felt like we were going to do this. And one or two plays go our way, and all of a sudden we have to postpone this moment for a few more weeks. But I couldn't help and I couldn't hide the sense of pride I had looking at some of those young guys. The ones that come to my mind right away is Amir and Aaron Long. And Aaron's not that young, but, okay, he is young when you're looking at me. But experience-wise, I just go back to that initial conversation I had in January or maybe even December with Dennis and Jesse, and we were evaluating the back line. They said, oh, we already have our guy. I'm like, okay, who's that? And when they said his name, I wasn't necessarily skeptical. I was just surprised because you're putting a lot on the shoulders of a guy who has very little experience. Granted, he did just lead his team to the USL Championship, and I'm sure that process allowed him to mature in massive ways. But going into his first MLS season, he's going to be starting right off the bat, going to Champions League, and you're expecting this guy to be a seasoned vet. And yet he went about it in a way that justified everything that they said. So now looking at one example, you're thinking, all right, this guy's coming back. He's going to be at the center of the defense. He's going to be the heart. He's going to be on the spine. He's going to be one of the leaders of the team. And you're thinking, okay, why wouldn't I be optimistic about next year? Then you look at Amir, a guy who came into the season, no one knew who he was, and yet they were preaching about, oh, this guy's a big game player. He knows he's already played for Panama and in qualifying, and he knows what it's going to take. And he just continued to grow in a way that makes you feel the same way as Aaron. And that's only two examples, and yet there's a dozen of them. And you just feel that brighter days are ahead. And I stick to that feeling I had after the playoffs. And it was a mix of disappointment because you want to keep playing, but then there's this great sense of pride to be a part of the process for these guys to step into the role that they have, and you just see that they're going to be even bigger players for years to come.
Luis, Jesse talked about how the veteran players really bought into that mentality of bringing in the younger guys and kind of progressing down that way of bringing these youth players through the club. What does that do to the veterans in terms of how they approach each day? Does that push them harder to make sure that their jobs aren't being lost to these younger guys? Or is there anything mentally going on there?
I can't speak for Brad and Sasha, though, to be able to be on the leadership with those guys is an absolute privilege. Just class guys that come into training each and every day knowing what they've got to put into it and performing on the big stage of what they do. So when my career is done, I hope there's a couple of championships that I can look back upon, but the thing that I'm really going to embrace and remember the most is the relationships such as the ones I have with Brad and Sasha and other guys that have been a part of the process. But as the season started and we knew that we were going to have a younger core, Jesse really challenged us to get out of our comfort zone. And nothing really pushed me out of my comfort zone more than the U.S. Open Cup run, if I'm being honest. because this was an experience that had me on the periphery, on the outside looking in, something that I'm not too used to during my tenure here with the New York Red Bulls. And as we continued to advance and overcome obstacle and challenge, it became, and this is just me being candid with you guys, internally a very difficult process, because there are a lot of questions that go through my mind, and I'm the type of person that is very analytical. And so I'm playing a million different scenarios, and in my head, every scenario is me not being involved. Yet the real turning point in that situation was when someone had texted me a quote from Harry Truman saying that it's amazing what can be accomplished when no one cares about the credit. And I know that I just totally butchered that quote, but at the end of the day, the message was true and is true. It's amazing what a group can accomplish if no one is looking for the credit. If people are just willing to buy in, and all of a sudden, for me, that's what I wanted my leadership to be about, is getting the best out of individuals regardless of my situation. I know that each and every day, and my teammates can attest to this, that I pride myself in my work, that I go into it each and every day putting the sort of honest effort that's going to allow me to be a better player. And that situation allowed me to be a better leader. Really putting my ego aside, knowing that this is about the betterment of the group and not my own individual betterment. And to be okay with that, to get to the place where I was okay with that, allowed me to be a better leader, allowed me to advance in a way that really put the group first. And I'm not saying that there weren't moments where I was already doing that, but to a higher degree. And I'm hoping next year, if I'm called upon to be here and continue to lead this group, that it's that sort of experience that's going to allow me to be a better leader for the group.
Other than that, pretty spectacular way that you've grown during the course of the season, are there other ways that you found you grew along the journey in 2017?
As a player, yes. It became very obvious that we were playing with a higher back line, and that meant my involvement as a keeper off his line was going to get greater, was going to be even more influential to the way that we want to play. And so in the same way, as a leader coming out of my comfort zone, as a goalkeeper, I need to come out of my 18, my quote-unquote comfort zone, and play very high. And sometimes it worked to great effect, and sometimes it caused nervy moments. So I know going into the next year, if this is a way that we want to continue playing, I have to improve just with my feet, be comfortable with my feet in a way that I might have never been before, so that it instills a sort of confidence in our group and our defense that we can play higher, we can press higher, and even if they play the ball over the top, we have a more than capable goalkeeper who's going to cover that space and know that we've got this.
Do you feel that this goal of this team can be accomplished if you bring back the youth, the veterans, and you will, make a run at this, a healthy run next year?
The goal meaning MLS Cup?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's start with the youth. It's not as if we have scrubs coming off the street here. We're talking about one of the best youth academy systems in the country that has made a commitment to developing players and putting them in situations to succeed. And for the better part of 3 years, they've done that. And I know that they're going to continue to do it. You look at the USL and some of the young guys there and the experience that they've had, and you parlay that into next year, and now you're going to have even younger guys. But that's fine. And the way that they've gone about it has really put these young guys in a position to succeed. And the ceiling that some of these guys have is pretty profound and amazing. And I'm glad that I get to be part of that process. Then you incorporate and integrate the players that have experience, the ones that have been there before. And Jesse has really cultivated, not just Jesse, Dennis, Mark, the leadership group of this organization have just integrated a culture and cultivated a culture of family, of all in, of people laying it out, putting their ego aside and putting it all out for the group. And you just hope the end justification is that the group is advancing in a way that allows us to become champions. And I hope more than anything to reward this fan base, this bewildered, committed, just really an interesting fan base, meaning that they've been here from the very beginning and they've experienced some highs and they've experienced some really low lows, and you just want to reward them. You want to give them an opportunity to be able to experience what it's like to be MLS Cup champions, to give them that sense of pride. And I hope more than anything I can be a part of that group, and I hope that it's next year.